Hello and welcome to the Quick News Daily Podcast, where I give you the facts first, no clickbait stories, just real news that matters to real people. Today is September 11th, and thank you for joining me. Well, like I said yesterday, I think today's going to be a really good show. There's some interesting topics that I want to go over. So buckle up. Let's get caught up. First, of course, the elephant in the room, 9/11, 19 years later. Can you believe that? It feels like just yesterday we were celebrating the 10th anniversary, and now it's almost 20. You know, it's crazy how time flies by as you get older especially. It's hard when nowadays every couple of days is the death toll from 9/11, like every 2.5 to 3 days. But the symbolism of what that day meant, the imagery, still horrifying to see those buildings, to hear the calls from the people who were trapped, people who were there. It was a turning point for our country. People who saw the effects of what happened, of the effects it had on our country, sure, they all signed up and served, but the aftershocks, the after effects, sort of my generation, a bit older, they're just starting to get into power. It definitely shaped them as well, just in a different way. Now, when I look back and look at the videos, it seems like we were really unified. Maybe that was the last time. Last night at the Chiefs-Texans game, this happened.
Thank you.
During a call for unity, a moment of silence for unity, a less than sold out crowd, because they couldn't sell that many tickets during a pandemic, booed loudly. It wasn't protesting the anthem. It wasn't protesting really of any kind. It was just a call for unity. And still, people reacted like that. It was just, whether you think he is the cause or the symptom, the rise of Donald Trump has really brought out the worst in everyone. Now, people of color have probably known all along, but folks like myself, I certainly didn't think that this many normal, regular people that you see on the street every day were just blatantly racist and don't even want to talk about change or treating people equally. I should mention, though, that the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Texans 34-20. It just does not seem like football season. Not in this climate, not in this atmosphere, but here we are. But I do know things will be better when Trump is gone, and in the campaign to do so, let's talk about Trump's campaign and the money troubles they've been having. That's right, after having such a huge lead over Biden in the fundraising edge, in the total cash on hand, it seems like they might even be in a shortfall. With less than 60 days to go, it seems like Donald Trump's campaign has burned through almost $1 billion, and they have nothing to show for it but being behind in the polls 6 to 10 points. So where does almost $1 billion go? Some of it goes into these questionable transactions like $325,000 to the Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island near Jacksonville for the RNC convention that didn't happen in Jacksonville. $150,000 for planes to pull Trump banners. $6 million on, quote, donor mementos, whatever those are. $11 million for 2 Super Bowl ads. $4 million into the Trump family businesses since 2019. $1 million on ads in Washington, D.C., just to make Donald Trump feel good, $21 million in legal costs since 2019, and $800,000 on former campaign manager Brad Parscale's Facebook and Instagram boosting ads about the Trump campaign and Trump and pro-Trump and all that. This was actually part of the reason that Brad Parscale got demoted, is because the Lincoln Project ran an ad showing how much money he was making off the Trump family and Trump campaign. How he had like a yacht and a Ferrari or something. There's also talk, I was watching another one of the Lincoln Project live streams, about how they're not raising money anymore. Like their donors aren't quite as willing to give. how they thought they'd be able to just keep raking it in from the same people, but it seems like those donors are drying up a bit. So everyone shed a single tear for the Trump campaign's cash shortfalls. Oh, that was the other thing. They also said that they have so many staff on the campaign that they probably go through $20 million a month on staff charges, like paying staff members and stuff. That is a lot of people. And $20 million a month? Ouch. Wisconsin seems to be the testing ground, the guinea pig for election shenanigans from the Republicans. This time dealing with absentee ballots, of course, which is how we're going to vote by mail here. From the CNN article, the Wisconsin Supreme Court told election officials across the state on Thursday, a week before the deadline to mail ballots, that they can't mail out absentee ballots until the court decides whether to add the Green Party's presidential ticket to the ballot. Of course it was a 4-3 decision. Guess who were the four? The conservative judges. They're debating about the inclusion of the Green Party candidate Howie Hawkins. Basically, we should just start calling the Green Party the Kremlin in the U.S. party or something like that, because, questionable motives, questionable ties, not really standing for what they say anymore. Speaking to Megan Wolf, the chief elections official for the state of Wisconsin, when she was asked what would happen if the justices order another candidate to be added to the ballots after they have already been printed, obviously a huge waste of money and paper, Wolf said that, quote, it would be incredibly complicated and difficult. She mentioned that some clerks in smaller jurisdictions across the state have probably already sent out ballots to voters. So how the heck is that going to work? The state Supreme Court said the Wisconsin Election Commission must inform the court by the end of the day Thursday whether absentee ballots have been mailed. I'm going to go with yeah, probably. Ooh, they're asking for the names and addresses of everyone who has been mailed an absentee ballot, as well as the date the ballot was mailed. And they're ordering that election commission to provide it with the names of officials who requested that ballots be printed, as well as the date and time those requests were made. The controversy started because Hawkins and Kanye West, by the way, were denied a position on the general election ballot by the Wisconsin Election Commission. Essentially, this is just going to lead to a lot of chaos. Seems like a preview for what other states might try and do, but weird that they start with Wisconsin. Well, not since we're so important to this election, unfortunately. Now, thankfully, the big Democratic election lawyer Mark Elias said this, quote, someone needs to let Wisconsin and its Supreme Court know that federal law requires military and overseas ballots to go out at least 45 days before the election. Yesterday was day 54. So now they have 8 days to figure all of this out, hopefully, according to Mark Elias, before they just have to send them out. Again, I really hope that's true, for all of our sakes, for every single voter's sake. But it's just kind of weird living in Wisconsin this year because we seem like the guinea pig for everything. Like our Supreme Court made us vote in the primary back in April, or one of the elections back in April, in person during the height of COVID. Well, now it's the height of COVID, but what we thought was. And now this with the absentee ballots. We're just like the guinea pig for everything. And it's weird because we don't really think of ourselves as that. I don't think of Wisconsin as that important, but this year we're one of the swing states that could win it one way or the other. Win it or lose it. Not really my favorite position, honestly. I hope Wisconsin is not this important every year. There's really not much of a news story here, but just listen to this exchange yesterday when Trump took questions at the White House in a press conference. This one came from ABC's Jonathan Karl, and see if you can follow Trump's train of thought throughout this rant.
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say now?
Such a terrible question, and the phraseology, I didn't lie. What I said is we have to be calm, we can't be panicked. I knew that the tapes these were a series of phone calls that we had, mostly phone calls. And Bob Woodward is somebody that I respect just from hearing the name for many, many years. Not knowing too much about his work, not caring about his work, but I thought it would be interesting to talk to him for a period of, calls. So we did that. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't even know if the book is good or bad. But certainly if he thought that was a bad statement, he would have reported it because he thinks that, you don't want to have anybody that is going to suffer medically because of some fact. And he didn't report it because he didn't think it was bad. Nobody thought it was bad. Wait a minute. And your question, the way you phrase that is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready? Because I love. Of course I didn't. Of course I didn't.
It was deadlier than the flu, and then you went out and told the American public that this was just like the flu.
Let me tell you something.
You told
We've had
Woodward
flu
one thing and you
years.
told everybody else something else.
No, and 5 times, right? 5 times. You ever hear the expression 5 times? We've had flu years where we lost 100,000 people. The flu is a very serious problem for this country also, and we've been losing them. Scott, what kind of a number have we lost over the years with flus? Into the hundreds of thousands.
Well, I mean, the last 5 years have been something like 35 to 80,000 per year, every year, even with antiviral drugs and even with
Flu is a
vaccines.
very serious problem also. But just so you know,
This is worse than the most deadlier than the most strenuous flu.
okay?
And then you went out and said it's just like the flu.
What I went out and said is very simple. Listen, what I went out and said is very simple. I want to show a level of confidence, and I want to show strength as a leader, and I want to show that our country is going to be fine one way or the other. Whether we lose one person, we shouldn't lose any, because this shouldn't have happened. This is China's fault. This is nobody's fault but China. China should not have allowed it to happen. Whether you have one person, 180,000 people, or 2.5 or 3 million people, which it could have been very seriously if we didn't make the moves. And when you look at the opposition, where they said, oh, why did he put the ban on? Dr. Fauci said we saved hundreds of thousands of lives by putting the ban on China and then ultimately putting the ban on Europe. There was no lie here. What we're doing is we're leading, and we're leading in a proper way. And if, frankly, somebody else was leading it, they wouldn't have closed it.
Yikes. It turns out this might be more of a Wisconsin show. This one's really especially important for us Wisconsin people, especially Packers fans. And Packers fans are worldwide. I shouldn't sell it short like that. But former Packers coach Mike Holmgren is supporting Joe Biden's campaign and will host a virtual press conference Saturday, quote, to discuss how President Trump's mishandled coronavirus response has hurt Green Bay businesses, end quote. Holmgren said in a statement, "There's simply too much at stake in this election to sit on the sidelines. We need a leader like Joe Biden to help us build back better." That is absolutely shocking to me. Just because, of all the people I would have picked to back Biden or to speak out at all, Mike Holmgren is not one of them. And football coaches in general are pretty conservative, really conservative. You put on top of that the fact that just a couple months ago, maybe in July or something, Brett Favre was golfing with Donald Trump. He's my namesake, but that was pretty much just enough to write him off for me completely. So, I figured Holmgren and Favre, that was the dynamic duo in the 90s. I don't know, I guess I just shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Good for Mike Holmgren on this. And I'm sorry I sold him short, really. I'm sorry I put him into that basket. Mike Holmgren, keep doing you. Alright, I think that's going to do it for me here this week. Kind of a shorter episode, but a lot of important information in there, I think at least. Remember, we do have merchandise available. Just follow the Quick News merch link in the episode description, and it'll take you right to the store. Also, remember to take the Google Forms survey in the episode description if you want to give any personal feedback straight to me. It doesn't have to be public, it goes straight to me, and it is anonymous. And that really does help me out when I try to plan the show, basically just to make sure that I'm telling you stories that you want to hear. Otherwise, as always, stay safe, make your plan to vote, fill out your census, and I'll see you right back here on Monday.